project is called Understanding Everyday Participation, Articulating Cultural Values. What the research sets out to do is to make a radical re-evaluation of the relationship between participation and value. And in particular, we're interested in understanding more about the nature and significance of everyday practices, what are sort of ostensibly routine, mundane involvements and engagements. Orthodox models of cultural participation and creative economy work with a pretty narrow definition of participation. They capture people's engagements with museums, theatres, and what we might call legitimate culture. But at the same time, they tend to overlook the importance of informal practices and interests such as hobbies, festivals, and even the cultural significance of social relationships.
I started off swimming for Trafford when I was very young. I've done synchronised swimming for over probably about 15 years now. And in 2010 I had an injury, so I couldn't swim anymore. So as I work in Salford, I decided to become a coach, start my own squad. We work underneath the City of Salford Swimming Club, which I know have had 2 Paralympic swimmers at the Paralympic Games, and they train here at Broughton.
This garden where we are today is a community garden, this part of it. Originally it was a car park with a few shrubs just slotted about for people to look out onto. The sort of people that would use this garden, I think you can go from a toddler up to 100. Mums could come down and sit in, they wouldn't necessarily have to get involved with the digging or planting, but the opportunity would be there for them. You might just get a pensioner that comes down, just wants to sit in this arbour, just for a bit of peace and quiet and a breath of fresh air. Because even though it's at the junction of 2 main roads, you really can't hear it, it's peaceful just to sit out.
The project is designed around 5 strands of work. The core empirical strand involves 6 case studies. One is Manchester, another Gateshead, the third one is Peterborough, and the 4th one is Dartmoor. In Scotland we'll be working in Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire, and in the Western Isles, in and around Stornoway. So that work on the ground will be informed by a set of histories in Strand 1 and the reanalysis of existing survey data in Strand 2 to find out a bit more about time use and also area level data on participation.
Some of the community activities I engage with, due to the nature of my job, generally linked to working with young people in the community. So we do holiday provision, after school provision for local young people. But part of that while working with young people is we look to do community events that engage adults and other community groups. I also work with an LGBT youth group, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. And that's a bit more of a city-wide group. Young people come from further afield. But that's about giving local LGBT young people a space to come, have a voice and get involved in Manchester Pride.
Where we are today, Broughton is a relatively deprived place economically. It's at the top or near the top of several indicators of deprivation. However, it's a rich community in many other ways. It's ethnically very diverse, and there's a great deal of vibrancy in terms of the kinds of participation that we're interested in, the everyday practices. Some of the issues we're interested in these areas include community activism, faith-based communities. There's a strong tradition of more marginal forms of sporting activity, martial arts, wrestling, gymnastics and synchronised swimming. We're interested also in the way in which public and open spaces are important because people feel that there are no neutral places to meet in.
When I understand a question about culture, I have to think of culture within a faith framework. And that's because there's some very fundamental principles within the Jewish faith about encouraging us how to devote our time. And those focus around scholarship in Jewish academic texts, It focuses on volunteering and getting involved in good causes and work and helping others. For me personally, I like to work with old people, and I volunteer as a member of the management team in our local care home. I like to be involved in activities in their care home, whether they're music activities or a trip or a speaker of interest.
They have some amazing facilities here in terms of shops, supermarkets, artisan individual shops, caterers and function areas and such like. And people come from all over the county really, Greater Manchester County, who want to purchase kosher delicacies and specialities that they just can't find in other places. Well, this is a very unusual area. It's extremely diverse. It's always been a massive melting pot of different nationalities. There's more than 20 languages presently spoken in this area. It has a great heritage and history. There's always something interesting to see and do. Lots of activities going on with the arts, music, festivals, song, dance, the libraries, sporting events. There's always something happening.
What we feel we want to achieve, in terms of policy at least, is a more democratic understanding of participation. Democratic culture in policy terms has been understood mostly up to now in terms of giving people better access to established institutions. But we'd like to shift the balance in the opposite direction and get greater recognition for the importance of the things that people feel matter to them.